Hi everyone, welcome back to another Thursday training. I am so excited to be here with you today because I have a super special guest. She is one of us. She's one of the amazing members of this community, and it's so exciting to have Jamie here because she actually comes in every Thursday to watch this Facebook Live. And now she is a guest in the Facebook Live. So this is kind of like such a fun full circle coming back. And so I'm so excited for today's training because we're going to talk about how Jamie tripled her revenue in the last week, really. She joined the Magnetize and Monetize Mastermind when it started 10 days ago. And in just in the last 10 days, in the last week, really, she started closing all these amazing clients and she tripled her revenue. And so I really felt so inspired by her story and by her tenacity and her determination, and also like how she applies everything so quickly and how she gets the results. And so I'm just so inspired by her. I was like, we need to share with everyone what you've been doing because it's so amazing. And so I'm going to share with you guys the strategy and the mindset that we implemented in her business in order to create these results. And we're going to just talk about her story, like how she ended up here. I don't even know how she ended up here, so I'm curious. And also like how it was for her to make such a big leap in her business, to invest for the first time in herself at this level. This was one of the biggest investments. So definitely want to take you behind the scenes of like that journey. And then we'll talk about how you can implement the things that we're going to share in this Facebook Live to your business, because truly you could be only like 2 or 3 tweaks away from creating a big result like Jamie. So hi Jamie, how are you?
Hi, I'm good. Thanks for having me.
Oh my gosh, of course. It's such a pleasure. So I didn't introduce Jamie, but so Jamie, she's an incredible OBM and online business manager for spiritual entrepreneurs who are on their way to 6 figures. So that's what she's doing now. This is kind of like what we landed, the niche that we landed on over the past couple of weeks. And so what I would love to do is just start with asking you, Jamie, if you want to talk a little bit about how you started becoming an OBM, and then how did you end up in this group?
Yeah, that's funny. We never talked about that before.
I know.
Okay, so I became an OBM earlier this year. I've been working online for close to almost 5 years now. I had to I'm looking at my calendar. It says October. That's going to help me, but it's close to 5 years. So I started as a virtual assistant. I used to live in Chicago as well, and I was working there as a paralegal, and I got started in the online sphere because I didn't feel like corporate was ever going to be a good match for me. It wasn't my thing. And so I started my journey as a virtual assistant, and that helped me learn all of the skills that I use now to manage teams and really just get all of the know-how. Everything I know is self-taught, and in working with me, you know that I'm just so hungry for to learn. And so I made my business sink or swim. I'm going to walk away from corporate and do this and learn everything I need to know. And so I was working as a virtual assistant for a few years. And it was earlier this year that I realized that in everything that I've learned along the way, what I was doing was actually much closer aligned with being an online business manager, where I was helping my clients really organize their businesses on the back end and strategizing, how to map out a launch and do it successfully, and giving them just all the tools they needed to really be able to do what they do best and work with their clients. So made that transition to online business manager earlier this year, and and now here I am working with you.
That's so good. Okay. So now you started your business, and then tell us a little bit about that, kind of like your last month. You said that you had this moment where you had your highest month, right? Like last month. Can you share a little bit about are you open to sharing their numbers so that we can tell people?
Yeah. So, what I didn't talk about was how I ended up in your group at all. It was actually someone had shared your 30-day challenge.
Okay.
And I saw it and was like, oh, that's interesting. Maybe my marketing could use a little more of this. Maybe I'll try it. Yeah. And I so I ended up in this group, and then I started doing your live trainings. And I think I have to admit, I think I only did like 8 days of it.
Yeah.
Because it just but everything that I learned from it, like I started using in my marketing, and it just sort of took off on like a
so good. I love hearing
different
those
way.
stories.
Yeah. So last month, to that point, what had been my highest earning ever, and even after all these years, this is where I was stuck. Last month, the highest ever was 2,000, little over 2,000 for the month. I don't have the exact number in front of me, but so it was like 2,400 was my revenue last month. Right. And so I have been like applying everything that I learned from you in your free trainings, which has like been so amazing to me. And it's like, the second I apply something that you've taught, I get results. Like something happens in my business and I'm like, oh my God, that was so good. And I remember the first one that I'd been watching your trainings. I was just sort of like observing in the background. Yeah. And there was one training, I don't remember which one it was. You looked like right at the camera and you're like, I know you probably heard this before, but I want to ask you is why aren't you doing it? And it was so direct. And I was like, she's really right. Like I have heard that before, but I've never why am I not doing it? And so I went out and I was like, okay, I'm going to do it. I'm just going to see what happens. And I think I ended up with a new client after that. And so it was just like, well,
yes.
So I've been applying all this stuff and I thought, okay, well, I'm going to go into September. I just had my highest earning month ever and that feels really good. But what I really want to do is be earning 5K months. Like I really want that for myself. And I know that I have the clarity that I need in order for this to be easy and I want it to feel easy. And so I was like, okay, I did 2,400. I'm going to do 5K next month. And I'm going to do it.
Yeah.
And then I added, we talked about this last night. I added another 500 just because I was like,
for fun.
Okay, 5K is a stretch, but I'm just going to put another 500 on there just to stretch my stretch and see what happens.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So good. So did you set that goal after we started working together or did you set that goal before?
I set that goal. I was looking at this the other day. I set that goal on August 27th. So
so you had that goal in mind and I remember, so for all of you who are watching, Jamie, she had been applying everything that she's been watching in the trainings, everything in the group, and she would email me and she would say oh my gosh, I love what you said and I implemented this and I got this result and I'm like, awesome. There are a lot of people who message me and they're like, I've applied some of these, so this is great, but she was so consistent in applying it. And then the week before the mastermind closed, I remember you emailed me and you said, or maybe that week, that you had 2 sales calls and you got a no both times, right? Mm-hmm. And so you were kind of bummed, but then, but then you also emailed me and then you said that you had a yes after applying some of the things that I share in the Facebook Live. And I was like, so when are you joining my program? because it sounds like you get a lot of good results when you implement even just the free stuff, right? I think you had 2 no's and you apply what I said and then you got a yes and I was like, why aren't you joining? And then you're like, I don't know.
Yeah, I think I even offered you commission. I was like, okay.
Yeah.
How much do you want after every new client I sign after I use your stuff?
Yes, it was so good. And so here's the thing that I want to share with you guys. A lot of people ask me, and hi everyone joining, Vanessa, Katie, Kathy, Erica, please drop all your questions that you have here if in case that anything comes up or if this resonates with you as we go along. So here's what I want to tell you. I had to have the courage to reach out to her or just to even have the courage to say, hey, so why aren't you joining my program? Because clearly you're getting results with my free stuff. Why not join, right? I had to ask that curious question. And I think a lot of people who have followers reaching out or saying your stuff's amazing, and then you're just kind of receiving those messages, but you're not saying anything back, is because you feel like you don't want to be pushy or you don't want to come off as whatever. And I get what you're saying, but there's sometimes it's just such a simple question as if you're getting amazing results with my free stuff, what's holding you back from joining my program? I'm curious. Because that really opens up the conversation of really what's in the way for the other person, right? So for Jamie, she was a little bit scared because the mastermind, it was not cheap, right? It's $5,000, $5,500 if you do the payment plan. And so that was her first investment ever in her business, if she would even consider it. And you actually like felt like that was huge for you, right? And so tell us a little bit about all the fears that came up for you before you said yes, and how that was, how that impacted you and like your decision making as you decided to make the biggest investment in your business without any confirmation that you were going to get triple your revenue in like a week after joining. Like, what inspired you to say yes?
Yeah. So, yeah, I've never joined a program like this before, ever. Like, and so when I had my biggest income month last month to that
Right.
point, I was like, okay, well, I want to earn 5K, but I really want to, be intentional about what I'm doing with my money when it comes in. So, how do I want to spend my money when I am earning 5K? Like, and for me, like, if people are on and they heard the beginning of the whole thing, like I'm a learner, like that fuels me. And so I was like, okay, well then what can I learn in my business that will drive it forward? And maybe I'll find something, when I hit 5K, I'll find something to reinvest in.
Once I hit that point, I will be ready. So funny,
right.
huh?
Yeah.
Yes.
And so, we shared my numbers. It was only 2,400 last month, and this is a 5K program. Like, that's terrifying. Like how, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like that literally was the question. Like, and I came to you and was like, I really, like, once you asked me, like, when are you going to join? Which, by the way, was so natural in that conversation.
Yeah.
It was like, haha, like, I'm learning all this stuff. Like, how much commission do you want? And you were like, yes, this is so great. When are you joining my program? And, it's so natural. And so, we got on a call and my fears really were, well, I don't make 5K right now. Like, I don't have this money. And I'm really, like, I really want to be in it because I know that I connect with the way you deliver your message. Like, and so, and maybe it is along the same lines as it was in that one live where like, okay, maybe I've heard this stuff before, but like the way that you deliver the message, like it resonates with me. And so I trusted going into our conversation that if I get this kind of result from free Thursday lives, like from this kind of training, what the heck is going to happen if I commit to investing $5,000? Like you could not possibly be sharing all of your genius in Thursday live trainings. Like you give so much value, but like that can, like, I know, cause I've been in business 5 years, right? Like I know that what you're sharing in your group is only the tip of the iceberg. And I was just like, I need to know what is under the water. Like, I need to know.
Yeah.
And so, so we talked and I was like, well, this is like, my body got hot. Like, my whole body was hot. Like, my gut, like, I was like sick. And it was like, okay, this is really scary. Like, I'm really obviously like feeling this. But can I trust in knowing that, so we crunched numbers. Like, we did that on the call. We did that right there. And it was like, okay, what would it take for this to be an easy decision for me? What would it take for this to be an absolute no-brainer for me financially? Because as far as I'm concerned, like, the investment is so worth it. Like, for me, it wasn't a question of whether I wanted to work with you or whether I thought I would get results if I worked with you. It wasn't like, okay, well, like, convince me that you're gonna, produce this result for me. It wasn't that at all, because I knew that. It was a matter of the money. So we crunched numbers and it came down to, okay, well, how many clients do you need to sign in September in order for this to feel good?
Yeah.
And so we did that, and I was like, okay, like one makes it so that I can pay.
Right.
And 2 makes it feel good.
Yeah. Yeah. So good.
Because I literally did not have the money when we were like, are we going to do this?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, here's the truth, you guys. So I opened up a more flexible payment plan, and then Jamie was like, okay, I think I can do that, right? And then we had to be like, I was open to being flexible, but only because I felt like she was so committed. She's like, I am so in. I'm like so all in. And it was for me like a stretch, like, okay, I'm gonna be more flexible, but I really felt the commitment from her. And for me, it was like, I just know I can help her so much. Like, I never make an offer to somebody who I don't feel like I can help. It's just never Like, cause what's the point? It's going to be an unhappy client. Like, I don't, it's just like, I don't work that way. I'm not just like, well, just say yes and figure it out later. Like, that's not how I operate. I used to operate when I first started my business like that. Sometimes you gotta learn and really whatever. Not the case anymore. And so I felt so good about that. We decided, like, Jamie was like, okay, I'm gonna do this. She said yes. And within the moment, like from the first moment that she said yes, it was just like you got into the vortex and you're like, okay, I'm all in. And within that week, we booked our first call, because I offered her a one-on-one call. And that was only a 45-minute call because I was late 15 minutes because the times were, we didn't schedule the times like the way that I normally do it. And so.
Oh, we moved that call around a lot.
Yeah, we moved the call around. And I was like, oh wait, I thought he was at 1. And she's like, no, he's not. And then she had a sales call right after. So what happened, just to kind of like fast forward the whole story, is that she joined the program. And then she started getting some bookings in her calendar. And then she wanted, at the time she had been receiving a couple of no's on the calls, right? So she was kind of bummed out. And so what I said was, okay, let's book a call before your sales calls and let's get on the same page. And I'm going to give you some coaching on your sales calls. And so that's what we did. That's what we did on the call. And it was only 45 minutes, which I'm like, it's like so awesome. We made the most of those 45 minutes, and then you hopped on those sales calls, and then you got, tell us about that. You got a yes right away. You closed one on the spot, and then the other one was like a let me sleep on it, and then she was a yes the next day, right?
Yeah. So coming off of those no calls at the beginning of the month, it left me in this like weird place of doubt that was unfamiliar to me, because one of the things you say that always resonated with me was that you close like 90% of your calls. And for years I have too. But when I shifted from VA to OBM, like that's an entirely different sales call. And so I was like, I've been navigating new territory with these calls and trying to figure out, okay, well, what is it that needs to be conveyed on these calls? So coming off of 2 no's, I had 3 calls that week. I had a 33% success rate. And for me, that was just like, it shut me down because I was like, these are not my numbers. Like this is brutal. And so so joined the mastermind, and I had a couple of calls come through. I had leads come through, and we put them on the calendar. And I was really sort of like stuck in that funky energy of like, I just had all these no's. Like, what if it's something, I don't know what it is. Like, what is making them say no to me all of a sudden, you know? And I knew that, when we talked about me joining the mastermind, what I needed for this to feel really good was 2 new clients in September. Yes. And so I had these 2 calls on my calendar, and I was like, okay, these have to be yes calls. Oh my God. Juliana's like, these have to be yes calls. And one of them was like, she's a client, who I've like stalking her, like, in her group, like I've been, you know what I mean? Like that's been a slow build. Like I've been building that relationship. And so she's been a dream of mine. And like, here she was on my calendar, and I was like I'm I'm like having this anxiety moment about it. And like just really like shrouded in doubt. And so we got on our call. Yeah. Yeah. And for 45 minutes, and you're just like, okay, and here's this, and here's this, and here's this, and here's this, and I'm just going to throw it all at you. Yep. And I'm like over here like scribbling notes. Yep.
I just told you pretty much like sales course, crash course. I mean, it was just like, okay, am I going too fast? Cause I'm giving you so many things. And you're just like, no, come on. I'm like, I can take it. I can take it. I'm like, all right, let's go. And I mean, of course I like gave you the things that would make the most difference based on what you were already doing. We found some analogies in like ways for you to present your offer and communicate the value in a really powerful way that people would kind of understand. So one of the things that I actually want to give you guys as like something that you can practice for your sales calls that we talked about was that if you have a service and you don't know how to explain it, how it works, So for Jamie, she's an OBM. And what happens when you first hire an OBM is that the first month is kind of slow. And so most people, when they first hire a coach or an employee, you just want them to get your results right away, right? Like you feel like I just made this big investment. And so you want to see some kind of return, some kind of movement. But what happens when you invest in an OBM is that she has to come in and just create systems first. So you don't see any progress in the first month because she's just kind of creating everything in the back end. Then you start seeing the results as you continue working together. And so the first month's kind of like backwards, like slow, and then it builds up. And so she felt like, I was like, well, we need to make sure that you communicate this really clearly so that there's no buyer's remorse. And then you will lose your client later on. And so what happened was that we created an analogy. So it was, when you present your offer, I shared with her, like, what's an analogy that kind of represents that for your clients so that they understand really well what they're walking into. And the analogy was like, hiring an OBM is kind of like hiring when you go to the gym. First, you don't see a lot of change in your body when you're first starting to work out, like for the first month, but then you really start seeing all of the results, right? And that was one small tweak, right? Like one small thing that you said that really helped with one of the calls. You were like, oh my gosh, that was amazing. That really helped. And so it's just like ways to, when you present your offer, when you're at the point of making the offer, you're able to really share with people, like, this is how it works. And not throw a bunch of features, but just speak the language, the human language. Like, I don't know how OBMs work, so it was good for me to not know because then I was able to kind of translate it. So that's just a little tweak and a little tip that I wanted to offer amongst some others that we want to share, because we haven't talked about pricing yet. So, but anyway, is there anything else that you were sharing? I'm sorry I interrupted you. I was like, wait!
No, it's all right. It's all right. Yeah. So we have that analogy, and then we have the other one, because the thing with online business management is that it's not as well known as like virtual assistants, right? So I have to really clearly convey like what the heck is going on. So that analogy, and then we created another one this week where because one of my pillars is like getting my clients seated in their power as CEO. And I don't know why it never occurred to me. It was like so obvious, and the second it came out of your mouth, I was like, oh my gosh, yes. You're like, oh, so you're kind of like their COO.
Yeah.
And I was like, yes, of course. And so I started using that in my sales calls as well. So just like, so the power of these analogies is really good, because I'm taking something like, my service is not super, super well known. Like, people know what a coach does. People know what a virtual assistant does. They know that already. People don't necessarily know what an OBM does. And so when I take these analogies and I'm able to relate it in that way, then like just the same way they go, oh, okay, that makes sense to me. Totally. And it makes the whole thing so much easier. Yeah.
So good. Cool. So that's one of the things that we did in terms of her sales process, right? So she had the leads, then we optimized her sales process on that 45-minute call that I offered her for joining the mastermind. And so that was really helpful. And just with that call, you were able to have all the tools that you needed in order to go from getting a 33% conversion rate to 100% conversion rate, which is amazing. And what I love, and I'm just going to brag a little bit right now for a second, like all of my clients, I just had, Maddie also shared with me yesterday, she's like, ever since you gave me your discovery call or like your sales call structure, I've had 100% close rate, which I'm like, it feels so good. So you guys, it may not be your marketing that's the, like if you're getting calls, if you're getting people reaching out to you, if you're hopping on discovery calls and you're not closing at least 90% of people, or 80% of people, let's talk, because I'm thinking of doing just a sales training. No, none of the other stuff, just sales, because honestly, there's no reason why it couldn't feel really good for you to offer your services in a way that feels really easy and like conversational and friendly, but also that has a really, really high conversion rate. So if you want that, give me an emoji, because maybe I'm feeling called, just like as we're talking now, just to do like a little sales training. Okay, cool. So one other thing that I want to touch on is one of the other tweaks that we did when it came to tripling your revenue was we looked at your pricing. So we were on the sales call, and on my sales calls, I now feel really confident in my ability to give value, but not over give things that are going to confuse people. Some people maybe are not at that stage, but I feel confident in my ability to do that now. And so one of the things that we were talking about were her rates. And so you were charging $1,200 per month. And that was actually, you had just recently increased your prices to 1,200. And I was like, I think those need to be 1,500. And I just dropped it. And I was just like, I think maybe we can work on this. But I had no fucking idea that yesterday, you guys, I've like literally found out what I'm going to tell you literally last night after she closed these calls. I didn't know that she actually took that on. And then you went ahead and then just pitched that on your calls. And then you got it. So you raised your prices this week again to 1,500, which is kind of what I share on our calls. And then you just went for it and then you got a yes.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's
so good.
That blows my mind a little bit because I'm like, usually this is something that has served me really well in my business is when I make a decision that like is a little bit scary for me, but I know that it's aligned with my goal, then I follow that. Like, okay, this feels really scary. Like this feels a little uncomfortable, but I know that it's going to get me where I want to go. So then I don't question it anymore. I'm like, okay, like I'm just going to do that. I'm just going to do that.
God.
And so actually, in raising my rates to 1,200, I had actually been working most of the year for $575. And
like
so
$175 per month.
And so I had just more than doubled them. Like,
right? Just,
I don't know, 2 weeks ago, like 3 weeks ago.
Oh my God. Wow. So amazing.
And you dropped that little nugget in our sales call and I just I just made a note. Like it's just like in the corner, like in the top corner of our notes. And so I'm like, was going back through because I said yes on that call and we got me in the program. And then I went back through and was like reviewing the notes because I was like, okay, like I need to start doing things now. Like immediately after we hung up, I was like, okay, I'm investing this. Like now I need to start doing things. Like what did she already give me in this call? And so I came back to that little note in the top of my corner that was like, consider 1,500.
Little note.
Okay. Okay.
I didn't land when you told me, like, I mean, okay, I'm shocked with so many things. I think like I'm a viewer right now. I'm just sitting with everyone who's in this Facebook like going like, what's going on? Cause last night when you shared, I enrolled these 2 clients, I was like celebrating, but then all of a sudden you like share your numbers and I was like, wait, hold on. What you're telling me is that your numbers were 2,200 last month, and after we made these tweaks, you tripled your revenue. So now you're at 6,600 or 700, 6,000? Okay.
6,400, 6,500.
400. Okay. Something along those lines. $6,500, right? And I was like, you tripled, and for you, it landed. You're like, oh, holy shit, I think I just tripled my revenue. Like, what just happened? Right? And the same thing with the $1,500. Like, I had no idea that you had enrolled people at the new rate. And so I'm shocked, like, again, just to hear, like, that's what you did. And so this is what I want to tell you guys. This is so important. I said this in the email that I sent out today. Results don't take time. They take courage, right? Jamie could have been like, no, I'm just going to sit and just study and maybe just like, whatever, or not raise my prices just yet because what if I get declined? I just had to know. The logical thing is just continue with 1,200 and then go to 1,500 maybe like next year. Like, let's just stick to that for now. Fuck that, right? Fuck being unreasonable. If you feel like, even if you don't feel ready, what if you pitched your highest, like a higher number in the next sales call? What if you got a yes? Like, this is what opens up when you take the step even before you feel sure. That is like that you're ready, And so this is one of the things that I learned from one of my friends. Results don't take time, they take courage. And he's just like, Jamie, you're like the embodiment of results don't take time, they take courage. Because you'll even just like watch Facebook Lives and go do things. You're like, I got a result. I got a client from your Facebook Live. I'm like, what? So good. So it's just so amazing. And I just really want to invite everyone who's watching this just to like let yourself feel inspired by Jamie that it is possible for you to just make a couple of tweaks in your business. It doesn't have to be a overhaul of everything. All we did was we got really clear on her sales process and like how to explain her offer in a way that felt really easy for people to understand. So make sure that you optimize that. I told her how to be really confident in her ability to guide people through her sales call and what questions to ask. So if you don't know those questions, review those and find a flow that really feels good to you. And also that you know that converts. And if you don't know that, reach out to me because I'll be happy to help you with that. And also look at your prices, because if you want more money but you're charging low rates, you're going to be stuck in that same like hamster wheel of earning the same amount even if you get more clients. So raising your prices is all a confidence game, right? It's all part of your conviction and your ability to believe that your service is worth that. And I think we had a conversation where I was like, do you see the amazing impact of what your product and what your service is, the impact that your service is going to have on your clients' lives? Because it's not just in their business, but in their relationships, in their health, in all of the ways. It's going to impact them in so many ways. And so we want to make sure that we're like illuminating the truth about that on our calls and on our marketing and everything. So these are some of the lessons that I wanted to share with you guys, because this is just so amazing. And I'm just so inspired by you, Jamie, and I just can't wait. I can't wait to see all the results you're going to create over the next 3 months that we still have left in the mastermind. And so I'm just so blown away, and just so happy that you were able to like really take these things, because you guys, if you're watching this and you're like, that sounds good, but then you're going to tune out of this Facebook Live, and then you'll be like, okay, I'm going to forget about it. Then like you're not going to have any new results, right? So implement the things that you're learning. If somebody else's message, or if my message or somebody else's resonates with you, then just apply it and see what happens and continue trying. Because I think this is what happens with what happened to Jamie, right? Like she resonated with the way that I explain things. Not everybody resonates with my way of explaining things. Sometimes people say that I'm too heady or too logical or too strategic. But, for some people it's great. So if this resonates with you, like, implement it, because that's what actually can give you those free results and that momentum that can get you to that next level. So I'm just so proud of you. So proud of
Thank
you.
you. Thank you.
So
it blows my mind still. Like, I hadn't even thought about the fact that I tripled my revenue, and then you said it, because I just shared the numbers, and I was just like celebrating 2 new clients, and I was celebrating like my biggest number ever, and then you were like, wait, did you just triple your revenue? And I was like, oh my God, I did. Like, I hadn't even processed that yet. So,
right.
Yeah, it's still, like, it blows my mind too.
Yeah. And just to be clear,
it is
sorry, what were you going to say?
It is the taking action though, because I don't know, I can tell you how many years I sat like just absorbing things and being like, information overload. I can't, because I have too many things that I've learned. For me, it was like stepping out of information overload, finding like one or two people whose message I resonate with, and being like, okay, like this is the only place I'm listening now. And like, when I'm not in information overload, now I can be like, okay, now I have time to go do this. Mm-hmm. And yeah, that's what made the difference for me.
Yeah. And you didn't have the money. You were like, I don't have the money. I'm not ready. You said you haven't invested in your business at all. You were just like, I've just been learning on my own. So, and then, and you went from like zero investment to $5,000 investment. You weren't even like buying a course, or like, how most people just start investing like $200 courses. They like pile up all these courses. You're just like, no, I'm going to do it all on my own. And then all of a sudden you're like, boom, $5,000, and then tripled your revenue. Like, it's amazing. I'm just blown away. So guys, so here's what I want to leave you with, because I can't believe we've been here for 33 minutes already. I'm just like, I could literally talk about this for another hour, like easy, like going through all of the details, like all of the mindset shifts. But I think like we covered most of the things that I wanted to share. I think the last thing that I want to give you guys is, I want to give you the opportunity that if you feel ready to join the Magnetize and Monetize Mastermind, you guys send me a message, because we're just in week 2, and you could be as close to hitting your goals as Jamie was. Like, it doesn't have to take that much. It doesn't have to take a huge leap, or you don't have to do a lot of things in order to really gain those big results. So I just want to give you one last invitation. I felt called to open that up again. And also, I wanted to give you just an insight into what Jamie does, because if you're looking for somebody who can help you organize your business and really create a really solid foundation for you to have more time, for somebody who can just come in and like set up the system so that you don't have to be doing everything on your own, definitely keep Jamie in mind. She's an incredible OBM. She's fully booked right now, right? She just got her 2 clients, but in October and November, she'll be opening some more spots. So I just wanted to like share that and ask Jamie if you wanted to share anything about what you do so that people know like exactly the small things that you can help them with, like super short, like 15-second, like elevator pitch and like when can people start reaching out to you, if now even, just to start having a conversation.
I think we're both laughing because we know that I'm bad at the elevator pitch because I can just go on forever.
Right. That's why I was like, 10 seconds.
Yeah, so basically what it looks like is we have a strategy session every month. We talk about your goals. We talk about what you're trying to do, what you're trying to achieve on the outside. Usually it's something like you're trying to establish your authority in a way that you just don't have time to invest in right now because you're so wrapped up in the day-to-day tasks for your business. And so what happens is working with me, I come in and I start standardizing everything so that there is a blueprint that's customized to your business, the way your business runs, the way that you want your vision implemented. And so really everything on the back end, you get peace of mind knowing that it's all happening so that you can focus on, your visibility or your, connecting and engaging with your audience in the way that like, they deserve and like the way that you want to pour into them from your soul, but you're just like, I have to set this up in, on the backside. So, it really comes back to leveraging your time and being able to serve your community in the way that sets you up to fill your programs when you launch them, and it's easy. So that's
awesome. Cool.
Was it 15 seconds? Did I do it?
I think it was more, but that's fine. We'll work on it. Just kidding. See, that's another thing. You don't have to have a 15-second elevator pitch to triple your revenue. What a beautiful lesson. Right? You can just explain what you do in the way that comes through, and then people are gonna get it. Okay. And so if you guys want to reach out to Jamie so that you can explore whether you're ready for an OBM or if you just need a VA or how you can structure your business if you already have clients, right? Because it's important that you already have clients. You're kind of feeling a little bit too busy to just do everything yourself, but you really want to be able to serve your clients at the deepest level, continue to fill your group programs and your one-on-one, but you can't do it all on your own. And you want somebody who can be like your COO so that you can become the CEO of your business exclusively. Reach out to Jamie. She is amazing. And I'm just so happy. Thank you so much for coming in here. I love having you here. It feels so amazing that you were literally used to watch these Facebook Lives. And now you are here. You are here. I want this for all of you who are watching.
Me too.
So good.
Thank you so much for having me.
Oh my gosh, absolutely. Is there anything else that you want to share with anyone who's watching about anything that about your experience, about anything that you want to leave them with?
I would just say that if you've been stuck in knowing that you want to make changes in your business, but you realize after listening to this that you're not taking those inspired action steps, that you're feeling I'm too busy for this. The really important thing is to make time for it. Set aside time to do something different in your business, to try something, because the worst that can happen is that it doesn't work. So what? You're not going to be anywhere different than you were before you tried it. But I know that from being here and watching your lives and now being in the mastermind, just those little things, and it really doesn't take a ton. I can sit down for half an hour, 45 minutes and implement something that I learned from you. And I see something change, and it's always been for the better. So that's what I would say.
Thank you so much. You're so sweet. All right, guys, I will see you not next week, because next week I'm going to be in Nashville doing my Story Brand certification. So I'm going to be MIA for the first time ever on a Thursday. Oh my gosh. But I'm going to be getting certified. So it's all going to be for the greater good of the world. For all of you, I'll come and share all my wisdom the following week. So thank you so much for tuning in. I love you all so much. And thank you so much, Amy.
Thank you.
Alrighty. Bye.